everyone, welcome back to another maintenance video for LGT Transport. We're going to get under the truck today and take off the inspection plate cover for the bell housing on the transmission. So, let's get to it. We are removing the inspection plate cover to gain access to the clutch bell housing and throwout bearing. The remote lube system is simply a grease line from the frame to the throwout bearing. We are inspecting the condition of the brass grease fitting that commonly breaks. Let's get to work. Here is what you'll need. First and foremost, chock blocks for safety. Also, you can use one of the following to remove the bolts: a drill, a socket wrench, or pliers or vice grips. First step, place wheel chocks on both sides of any tire on the truck. This will keep it stationary as we work. Always remember, safety first. Time to head under the truck. There are 2 bolts. Remove the first and remove the second. Now we can move the inspection plate cover out of our way to gain access to the clutch bell housing. Inside the clutch bell housing, you now have a clear view of a brass grease fitting which threads into the throwout bearing. This piece commonly breaks. When it breaks, the throwout bearing will no longer get lubrication, leading to the failure of the clutch. So, it is important to check this fitting every grease cycle or every 50,000 miles, as this is the lubrication cycle set forth by Eaton, the manufacturer. Now let me show you what a broken grease tube can do to your clutch. So here's your clutch fork, which is used to engage the clutch brake over there. I'll show you in a second. Here's your clutch, your main clutch. And it's where the clutch drive brake to the right over here actually sits in. And to our main culprit today, this is your throwout bearing. And when this is not greased, it fails, as this one has. And then the whole unit then needs replaced. All thanks to the little tube. This is your input shaft, which takes the engine torque and transfers it into the transmission. This can also get some damage. This one looks to be in alright shape, but I'm sure if we cleaned it off and actually looked at it, it would show some signs of wear due to the bad nature of your throwout bearing. Here's your clutch drive plate. This is what's responsible for slowing down the transmission. So you have 4 pads here, and those are what make contact. When those 4 pads go, you'll see some wear on these springs that tell you that this is starting to wear out. Now none of this gets grease here, it's only this throwout bearing up at the top part of the screen that gets any grease. This all is just dry and it's just contact using frictional forces. Your clutch brake itself is over here. We'll show a close-up. And as that makes contact, that slows down your clutch itself to allow the clutch brake to slow the transmission to pop it in gear. You have a bearing over here which is, I think, on the back of the transmission, I'm not entirely sure. However, it did come with this clutch assembly, and then I just have it in here to represent a better example of a bearing outside of the throwout bearing housing. And then, of course, here's our lovely little culprit, the grease tube. Alright, let's take a closer look at the culprit. Here's your grease tube fitting. You can see the threads are broken. You can get a better vantage point probably from right there. Sorry, I don't have very steady hands. And once that breaks, your throwout bearing doesn't get any lubrication and fails, which is why I call this the bad guy of this whole situation. I'll give it a little spin here for you. Now it's got this extra fitting on here. Technically, it's just this little barrel right here. This is just another grease fitting they add on top of it. These usually don't break too often. It's just this one, because it's so long, the weight distribution of it, while it's vibrating down the road, you can imagine sitting it in there, and it's just teetering ever so often until it just snaps off. Now the inspection plate cover can be reinstalled. There is not a specific torque for these bolts, about 15 foot-pounds should do.